What does it mean to be really, truly happy? Where does work fit in to a life already filled to the brim with obligation? What if a bookshop could change your life? These questions form the central themes of the heartwarming, slow burning, and extremely cozy debut novel set in a Korean bookshop. Welcome to the Hyunam-Dong Bookshop by Hwang Bo-reum, translated by Shanna Tan. Hwang's story follows a young woman in her 30s, Youngju, as she leaves behind a promising career to chase her dream of owning a bookshop. The work moves at a peaceful pace, and Hwang writes more like an essayist than a novelist, as each episodic chapter captures only a few hours at a time. The book spans 3 years, but progresses in these bite sized pieces as the audience gets to watch a wide cast of characters navigate changes in their individual lives and the growth that inevitably occurs as they continue to find themselves. Youngju, for instance, starts off uncertain, struggling to bring customers into her shop, but finds her stride when she realizes that she must work to carve her bookshop a niche in the community she's chosen for it. A pivotal moment occurs early in the novel when she hires her first employee, Minjun, as a barista. A young man facing his own internal turmoil. He thinks he's signing up for just another casual job, but the bookshop and Youngju's influence impact him deeply. As the reader, you find yourself rooting for Youngju and Minjun as they get the bookshop up and running. As they build up the community and get customers in the door, you as the reader end up buying exactly what they're selling. A warm sense of belonging. When you pick up the book to read a chapter, you feel like you're popping into the bookshop, checking in with the characters, absorbing the conversations, and the questions that float ambiently around the community space. And then you're waving goodbye as you walk out the door and put the book down until the next time you pick it up. You get to know the people who make up the neighborhood in deep, emotional ways, and you become invested in the small victories they all earn over the years. A reoccurring question on many characters' minds, from the ever cheerful Youngju to the gloomy but industrious Minjun, is whether they will ever be happy. The characters in the novel span ages from teenagers contemplating university to people with decades in the workforce to older folks raising adult children. No matter the age or circumstance of life for these characters, Hwang reassures us that we will all have the chance to be happy. With the help of the characters around them and the community at large, many of these characters do eventually realize what it is that they want from life. But there is a double edge to Hwang's reminders, as one may wonder in the course of reading the novel whether they'll be lucky enough to be the wise young ones or unlucky enough to be like the older characters who learn their lessons a little bit later in life. Ultimately, the author brings each character around to identify and reconcile with their own happiness, which makes for a heartwarming and positive story. Another major theme in the book is the question of where we ought to fit work into our lives. Many characters in the book represent resentment in countries, growing resentment in countries like Korea and Japan, where young people are growing ever tired of the expectation that they give up the best years of their life to corporations that don't treat them very well in the first place. At one point in the story, one of the book clubs that meet at the bookshop explicitly discusses the refusal of work movement in Korea. And characters of all ages come to the consensus that a life focused on work is not necessarily sustainable or a life well spent. Hwang even references The Refusal of Work by David Frayne, quoting it extensively through Youngju. It would be remiss not to connect this theme with the author's own story. Hwang herself worked as a software engineer, a demanding field in Korea and the United States as well, before quitting to pursue a writing career full-time. Hwang hammers home the principle of work-life balance as all the characters, while initially stumbling to find their footing after quitting or taking a break, they eventually blossom into individual and creative people who find meaning in their lives outside of work. The bookshop Youngju starts ends up not only changing her life, but also the lives of the people around her and in her community. The bookshop becomes a hub of connection, a place where diverse members of the Hyunam-Dong community come together to support each other, talk to one another, and most importantly, inspire one another. I was struck especially by how Hwang balanced the characters in the novel. Some were passionate readers, as you may expect in a novel about a bookshop, but most of them weren't, actually. Instead, they drew inspiration from the conversations they took part in, the trials and tribulations they faced, and their shared goals of happiness and fulfillment. The name of the community, by the way, isn't an accident either. In her author's note at the end of the book, Hwang writes that she named the community Hyunam-Dong purposefully, as the character Hugh in Korean, probably butchering that, I apologize, means rest. The community in that way shapes the bookshop through its name and its vibe, and the arc of the characters just as much as they influence the community. Mostly the characters overcome small challenges in small ways, small everyday victories based on small everyday acts of courage form the basis of the novel. It's an important reminder that one doesn't need to take drastic steps to improve one's life. Incremental changes can add up. Youngju, braver than most, started a bookshop to change her life, and maybe that's you. Heeju, an older woman character, changed her life by forging a space for her to be her own person, aside from being a wife or a mother. That could be you too. Personally, I related most to Minjun, the young barista. He struggled at first with a lack of purpose and the gargantuan weight of disappointment on his young shoulders, but eventually he frees himself from the self-imposed cage he's placed himself in. He finds purpose in the moment. He finds fulfillment in his own heart, where it was hidden all along. Cheesy, I know. Have you read Welcome to the Hyunam-Dong Bookshop? What were your thoughts? If you haven't read it, do you think you will? Let me know what you think of this video by leaving a comment below. Either way, thanks for joining me, and I hope you go on to read well.